Hello, welcome to this video. Good API design is important in a microservices architecture because all data exchange between services happens either through messages or API calls. So, when you design an API architecture, probably you might get these questions. When to choose the gRPC style architecture over HTTP based REST API? Or what's a concrete result of designing and deploying a microservice based architecture using gRPC? And is gRPC better REST or it is particularly suited to a microservice scenario? In this video, we will find answers to these questions. In addition, you can understand capabilities of gRPC framework and its common use cases. So, stay tuned till end of this video to get technical insights of API frameworks. Before we get into details of gRPC framework, let's take a brief overview of RESTful services first. REST is probably the most known as it has become common among the web API because it's built on top of HTTP 1 version and the standard HTTP methods and well-defined status codes help in identifying cause of problems. And there are tools for inspection, modification, testing are readily available in the market. There are frameworks in most of the widely used languages to create RESTful APIs. The generated contracts, messages, and JSON responses are human readable and easily understandable. It enforces stateless communication, which improves scalability. And loosely coupling between the client and server make changes relatively easy. In a nutshell, REST is a very efficient, effective, and powerful solution for the modern microservice API industry. But lately, gRPC framework is becoming a quite popular to build high performance systems. So let's have a look what is gRPC briefly. gRPC is actually a new take on an old approach known as RPC or remote procedure call from Google. RPC is a method for executing a procedure on a remote server, somewhat like running a program on a friend's machine that far away from your workstation. gRPC framework is now an open source project available originally developed by Google. The framework runs over the newer HTTP2 protocol and exchanges data in binary format with protobuf language. So, the key question is when to choose a gRPC style architecture over HTTP based REST API. In order to find an answer to this question, you need to understand what is the concrete result of designing and deploying gRPC based APIs. Having said, let's take a look at major benefits of gRPC framework at first. gRPC improves performance because messages are serialized using Google's protobuf, which is a lightweight and an efficient binary message format. In fact, a gRPC message is always smaller than an equivalent JSON message. In addition, the gRPC framework is designed for HTTP2 protocol that provides significant performance over HTTP 1 version because it leverages the low-level capabilities of HTTP2 for duplex streaming to send data in both directions at the same time. That is, you can have two threads, one for writing data and another one for reading data executing concurrently. And other feature is multiplexing that allows the client to communicate to the server by making another request on the same TCP connection. As a result, these are turning a gRPC communication into a sort of super fast messaging. And next thing is integrated authentication. Yes, gRPC has a very effective and powerful authentication system. Either you can use SSL authentication or token based with OAuth model, or you can plug in your own auth system by extending the code as well. Another major benefit is gRPC framework saves development time by different ways. Let's see what those are. First, we will see auto code generation feature. In a typical development scenario, you used to generate a client from the endpoint or a WSDL. In case there are multiple services exist, then client generation will become a tedious task. But gRPC framework provides first-class support for code generation. A core file to gRPC development is the .proto file, in which gRPC frameworks define the contract of gRPC services and messages. From this file, the gRPC frameworks will generate a service-based class, messages, and a strongly typed client. So, by sharing the proto file between the server and client, you can generate the messages and client code easily. The next thing is about gRPC services specification. In fact, a formal specification for HTTP API with JSON does not exist. So developers usually debate the best format of endpoints, TPP verbs, and response codes. Whereas the gRPC specification is prescriptive about the format gRPC service must follow, so that our developer can refer and follow in development, because gRPC is consistent across platforms and implementations. I have added the GitHub link to the specification in the description below. Please have a look. And the next benefit is gRPC supports polyglot environments. Yes, you can develop the gRPC services using any of popular programming languages, from Java to Python to PHP to C#, and so without worrying our team skill sets. Let's see how gRPC handles an efficient point-to-point real-time communication. By default, gRPC supports unary, client to server, server to client, and bidirectional streaming combinations. Whereas REST style, you can stream only from client to server. And the next thing is, you can leverage the advanced streaming capabilities of the gRPC framework, make it possible to arrange a bidirectional channel between two endpoints. That way, messages can be exchanged in a real time without pooling. If you want to achieve the same with the REST architecture, then you need to write multiple distinct requests like a chatty style of streaming, which is against the chatty IO anti-design pattern that must be avoided in general. After seeing the features of gRPC framework and protobuf benefits, now you might have understood when to choose the gRPC style that fit for your business or solution requirements. On a high level, we can conclude as that multiplexing, full duplex, and proto request responses make gRPC much faster as compared to REST. It is only available for internal services because there are no APIs available for external use until gRPC web evolves fully. So, gRPC style API design should be great for communications between internal microservices, where low latency and high throughput communications are critical. Other synchronous messaging technologies such as RESTful services or GraphQL should be more suitable for external facing services. As a final note, every API style has its own pros and cons. Only you can determine which solution is best given your requirements. So, you should do a detailed technical fitment analysis before finalizing any design option with consideration of all business key factors. Thanks for watching. If you find this video is helpful, then please like this video and share your comments. Bye for now.